you have to decide. You have to make a decision and stick with it. And that's it. And it sounds easy, but it's not. It's really not. I mean, life happens for all of us, right? So I'm sensitive to that you know what? I get it. We're going to come up with other things that can happen on our weekends and our Saturdays and our Sundays, and oh, we can't make it over. Like, okay, it's going to happen, but what will you do? What will you do to get the deal done?
Rivers with some time, shuffles, turns, and he's going for the whole ball of wax, and this one is caught. Touchdown.
Big time wide receiver.
All right, what's going on, BE3? Welcome back to Happy Agent Podcast. I am Jeff Beggins, your host again, with Mr. Mike Puma.
What's up, everyone?
And today, we've got a really cool guest with us today, Mr. Vincent Jackson. Vincent Jackson himself, which is a really cool, become a good friend, great business partner, and one hell of a talented athlete. And I think you've got a really cool story. And so as it's evolving into what you've been able to build kind of a whole empire from a real estate perspective, for those of you who love you from playing with the Bucks here and just following your whole career, I'd love to hear just kind of the Vincent story from your mouth. If you kind of bring us back to wherever you want to start it, and then we'll kind of evolve it into real estate and all the Happy Agent podcast,
sure.
Which is what this is about. It's both ultimately following your dreams and your passion, and all the hard work that goes along with that. So there's no better package of following your hard work, dedication, and goals, and to make it work than you. So thank you. Welcome to the podcast. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate the invitation. So my story, I really like to always start at the grassroots of being a military brat. My father served 21 years in the Army. My mom served a few years, but just that lifestyle and being engaged with, living overseas, dealing with a deployed parent, that interaction and that diversity, really made me more well-rounded. It really helped me focus on, education, right, was a priority in my family. So, moving around every 2 to 3 years, it's tough, man. Changing schools, making new friends, trying to keep up on your curriculum. It was a unique experience, but it definitely, made me who I am today. So I think that's kind of the core of, what I was able to accomplish, even as an athlete. I think that it goes back to kind of being a military brat and, focus on education. Graduated high school in Colorado Springs.
Where did you live? Overseas?
So I was born in Louisiana, Fort Polk, Louisiana. I lived there till we were I was about 6 years old. Did a brief stay in Phoenix, Arizona with my grandparents on my maternal side because my dad was training down in somewhere in Texas. And so it was ready for him to do his education so we can move to his next station. And so me and my mom basically lived with my grandparents for about a year. And then we went to Grafenwehr, Germany, was where we lived. And, Europe is very tight knit. So, that was one of my favorite memories. And I was old enough. Again, I was like, 8 to 10 years old, 12 years old. So it was like that experience of being able to travel and see different cultures and a different way of life, just different from the U.S. Lifestyle.
Were you playing sports there, Vincent? Were you playing sports?
I did. Yeah, that's kind of when I started. I played soccer. I played baseball, basketball. Football was actually the last thing I did. It was actually something I didn't start until really I got back to the States. So,
that's wild.
Being in Europe, soccer is obviously a huge following and a huge sport there. So, it's kind of where it started there. And then when we came back to the States, we were actually commissioned to go to Hawaii. My dad had orders to go to Hawaii from Germany, and we literally shipped all of our furniture, all of our households. We're literally sleeping on like blow up mattresses. We even had to ship our dog over there because of the fact that they have to quarantine for like, 3 months or something like that. 2 weeks before we go, he goes and checks in, does his final paperwork, and they're like, sorry, Sergeant Jackson, we're changing it up, bro. You're going to Colorado Springs. So, I don't know. I guess it's a blessing in disguise. I would have been a surfer or something, but going to Colorado, changed everything for us. It was so unknown. We had nothing in our house, and we're literally sleeping on the floor.
Man, that's crazy.
It's adaptability, though.
It's adaptability. It's being adjustable, being dynamic, being able to, just redirect. So, got to Colorado. Obviously, that's kind of where my dad finished up his career. He retired there as a medic. He was in the medical field. Worked at the hospital as a first sergeant. And, I went to high school. I basically went middle school, high school there, and then obviously up to University of Northern Colorado. And that was a tough choice. And that's part of my story is thinking about, having a 4.1 GPA and most of my academic or just secondary education funding came from my academics. I was offered a partial scholarship at Division II school, and I don't know that some people know what Division II means, but like, it wasn't like I was being recruited by the Oklahomas and the Miamis and the Florida States. Like, that didn't happen. I literally had nobody knocking my door. So I was looking at Columbia and University of Northern Colorado. And there's a unique reason for that. People are like, why? That sounds like a random school. Where is that? It's in Greeley, Colorado, but it has the one of the best business schools, I think, west of the Mississippi. I think they're ranked in the top 10.
So I think this is an interesting moment then for you. So because I played baseball in college, right? Division II. Now, Division II baseball is probably a little bit different than Division II football, just in the way that it's put out there. Sure. But I can tell you, I was going to school at that point in my life. I was going to college to play baseball, not going to college to get my degree. Now, that quickly shifted for me, right, as priorities changed. But I was literally mentally, I was like, hey, listen, if I got to go to class so I can go play baseball, I'll do that. And I wasn't a terrible student. I wasn't a Columbia student. So I guess for you, though, were you going to go to business school and you were just happy to be able to play football while you did it? Or were you going to play football and we're just going to do, still continue to get a business degree too?
Nope. It was education first, man. I made a decision on going to a college to go get my education. And I was just happy to be able to play sports because I like to do it. You know what I mean? I was a decent enough athlete. Actually, I was better. Basketball was my first love, to tell you the truth. My high school team was, I think all 5 of our starters, we made it to the finals multiple times in the state of Colorado, and, all 5 of our starters played collegiately. So I actually played basketball as well as football my sophomore and junior years.
Wow.
So, yeah, and God bless it. It was the longest 2 years of my life. It was so hard to play 2 sports and balance education. I'm literally going from starting in June for football training, starting the season, getting rolling, finishing in October, going straight to the basketball court, playing through March, going straight into spring football. It's like, it was long, man. It was very, very taxing, but it helped me learn, just planning out, you know what I mean? Like, allocation of my time, working with my professors, doing what I needed to do to keep my GPA up and do everything educational wise that was more valuable to me at that time. I didn't even know that I would even be a considered prospect professionally until end of my junior year, right? And that's when scouts started showing up. You know what I mean? I was playing well, and my coach started saying, like, look, if you stay healthy, if you finish this year strong, you play your senior year strong, you have a good opportunity to get, not just an opportunity to go and do some training and do some evaluations, go to the combine, things like that. So it was a it was a very unique experience, man. I mean, being a small school guy that, you know this as baseball, D2, like, it's not like everybody's pounding your door, right?
No.
It's just,
No.
it's just like you're playing for the love of the game. You're hoping to develop yourself and develop your skills. But I was just fortunate, man. I don't know how else to explain it. I was lucky.
Now, were you getting looked at in basketball too?
No. I mean, okay. at 6'5", I'm a normal cat. You know what I mean? I'm just a normal guy.
You're short.
I mean, I'm short. I'm a point guard. You know what I mean? There's point guards that are 6'8". I mean, come on, Ben Simmons, he's 6'10", and he's a point guard. Like, I mean, so I was not a unique talent in basketball as much as I mean, I did well. I led my team, and I led the team in scoring and rebounds for 2 years. But I just, I'm just another run-of-the-mill basketball athlete. But football is unique. When you have a 6'5" guy that can run 4.4 and is athletic, there was a skill set there that drew some attention.
Yes, for sure.
What I think is interesting about this is the amount of just mental, right? The mental capacity, all of the years that went into the strength and the conditioning and the discipline and the mindset, because you can't just be a half-assed athlete and then eventually get tapped and have scouts there to take you to go pro. So, I mean, look at the sacrifices that just those 2 years you were talking about, from the basketball to the football, and the discipline and the schedules and getting all that in together. It's unbelievable how much time that you put in. And most importantly, you were putting it in, Vincent, before you even thought you had a shot, right? That's the coolest part of it, is because it was the love of the game. It was the sport.
That's right. It's, it was to be a good teammate, to be a good team player, to be a good student, to be a good son, and a friend, so it's just a structure, that I was blessed to grow up with, that my parents, developed me with, core values. I mean, I if we want to retract a little bit, I worked every job, I think, growing up. I was a Kirby vacuum cleaner salesman. I worked in the back of the house and kitchen. That's what got me into like a little bit of restaurants that I'm still a part of. I was a cook, a line cook. I was a host. I delivered Domino's pizzas like as soon as I got my driver's license. Just a lot of diversification, you know what I mean, that goes on top of the diversification of being a military kid. So to me, it's just what it was, right? I mean, I didn't know anything else, right? It's just, you work hard, you go to school, you take care of your business, and good things will happen. So I was very blessed, and those things, again, could I have had an injury or something, change that whole story? Absolutely. But I guess, good things happen when you just, you try to do things right.
But I think that mental fortitude, and I want everyone to take that away, of at a young age, knowing and committing to the fact that, yeah, you know what, I'm a pretty good athlete, but I'm going to go to school. And if I get to continue to play sports, that's awesome. But I'm going to go do this because this is a higher priority. I like both, but I want my business degree, right? And I want a very good business degree from a good school, and that's what you did. And knowing that and then committing to that is huge, because I was the opposite, right? I was going for baseball. And
sure.
If I got hurt, when I was 18, when I had first committed to University of Tampa, I would have been destroyed. Now, I ended up getting hurt, right? Now, thank God at that point, I was dating my now wife, and she slapped some sensibility into me and said, hey, you know what, you're doing this for more than just yourself. And I was able, so when I got hurt and it all went away, it wasn't destructive. But you see a lot of people that when they're committed to just sports, when it ends, they go into a very bad place. So, but I think you committing to that's huge.
Yeah, and I just think that sometimes, athletes, and God bless it, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but our athletic system and programming, starting at like kids at a young age right now, is so centralized on them trying to make it, right? Like trying to make it to the pro level, like, and it's, you know, it's 7-on-7s, it's ESPN, it's like, and these kids get so much attention that didn't happen when we were growing up, right? I mean, at our age, like that wasn't happening. I didn't have opportunities to play it, you know, some 7-on-7 league that's going to be at, you know, the Disney World of Sports, you know what I mean? You know, and be on ESPN. Like, so these kids get under this spotlight, and it's always about training, and it's sports, and it's year round, and their parents get sucked into it. So the parents are just doing sports. And it's like, guys, the percentage of making it is very, very small, tiny. It's minuscule. And so you need to be focusing on that education piece. Like, I hate to say it, not saying like don't take away from it, like keep working on it. If you love it, you got a passion, go for it. But the education, something you can fall back on, because even if you do make it, guess what? You know, what are the average careers? I don't know what the average career is in baseball, but I know in football it's like 2.5, 3 years maybe. So end of the day, I always knew in the back of my mind, okay, I'm getting drafted by the San Diego Chargers, but guess what? I'm only going to be playing for like 2 or 3 years. So I was already focusing on working with professionals. I started using my off seasons to meet up with attorneys, doctors, real estate developers, you know, restaurateurs, like trying to educate myself so that I had a plan B. Like I didn't want to just, you know, something happen, whether it's a coaching change or an injury, like you just don't know when that day is coming. And I saw a revolving door every season of new guys coming in, other guys getting, you know, released or you know, just cut, you know. So I'm like, well, I don't know. I could be the same one. You know what I mean? I wasn't like I was a rock star when I started. I was playing special teams and just started kind of playing a little bit more receiver. So I didn't know, you know, what my, you know, career would look like. So I was planning for what I'm going to be doing for the majority of my professional career for the next 30 years. What would I be doing? Right? So football, you know, is this. What I'm going to do for my family and everything else is going to be a lot longer. Well,
and you've, you know, that plan has really proven itself to play out the way that you thought it would, right? And not probably in the way that you thought it might, you know, with a 2 to 3 year career, because, you know, for those of you that don't know, this is probably one of the most humble guys you'll ever meet that has had the level of success he's had on and off the field. You know, we're talking about a guy who didn't have a 2 to 3 year career, because he probably won't talk much about this, but we're talking about a guy who had a 12-year career, who made the Pro Bowl 3 times, who had 6 1,000+ yard receiving years. Mm-hmm. Like, that's who we're talking about here. We're talking about a guy that I used to literally go take very early in my fantasy football draft because my brother was obsessed with getting Vincent Jackson on his team. So my whole mission in life was to get you before he would pick you, just to piss him off. Right? Like, this is literally what I lived for. But this is the career you had. So you ended up having an amazing NFL career, but leveling all these things in that have now played out. And I would argue, which we'll dive into here in a minute, that what you've accomplished and what you do for the community here in Tampa and probably elsewhere, I just know what you're doing here locally, the impact you've had off the field here in Tampa, just with the charities and everything you're doing, is probably even bigger than the impact you had on the field. So I think your plan has really played out.
No, that's and I appreciate that, Mike. And I hope I did well for you those seasons you drafted.
You
me.
did.
Sometimes,
you did actually. Yeah. No, we're good. We're good. We'll call it even.
All right, good deal. No, but that's always been a priority. Philanthropy started, you know, at a very young age for me. You know, my father used to take me out to do, you know, highway cleanups, Salvation Army feedings, like just whatever we could do. Like, we were doing this at a very young age, like 7, 8 years old. Like, I started integrating into, you know, giving back to wherever we lived, wherever we were at. We were going to go do something at least a couple times a month to give back. So it was something that just been integrated for me. So, you know, me starting my foundation here in Tampa in 2012 when I got here as a free agent, couldn't have been a better timing, man. I've been so blessed. And honestly, it's not just me. I don't want to, I got to, again, the humility of it, but it takes a team. It really takes a team. I had to have the right staff, the right people, the right, volunteers around. And obviously having MacDill Air Force Base here in Tampa, it was just the right time. I mean, I was doing a ton, my 7 years in San Diego, with all types of different, pediatric cancer and, boys and girls clubs, doing all that. And I enjoyed it. And I would still be doing it, but I knew I wasn't ready to put my, name on a true entity. A foundation is a business, right? I mean, it's a 501c3. I mean, it's a lot of responsibility and compliance, and you got to be able to operate it the right way. So getting to Tampa, it couldn't have been better timing, man. I got the right folks around me, and, it's a huge military supporting community. So, I started the foundation, Jackson in Action 83 Foundation, and I couldn't be more proud of what we've accomplished, what we continue to build with, our military moms baby shower, our youth in action activity camp, which again, this year is a little bit unique with COVID and stuff. We couldn't be able to do that, but we're still going to find ways to integrate with these families, right? And the core basis of that foundation is supporting the spouses and the kids. And God bless it, we do support the active duty military service members, men and women that are making the ultimate sacrifice. But the bigger deal that I was a part of was being a military kid, right? What it meant for me to have to move around and understanding what it was, a struggle and for my mom, me not having any tenure, right? She's having to change jobs, every 2 to 3 years because my father's getting a different station. So we really focus on the spouses, the children, and that military family structure. It's huge. And it's not a positive thing that people don't want to talk about a lot. I mean, we all see the red, white, and blue commercials and the social media, but honestly, there's a high divorce rate. There's a high, struggling with education with these military kids, right? So we're trying to bridge that gap. If you come to Tampa and you're stationed in MacDill, we're going to make sure that you have all the support you need. You get connected to the civilian community, so you don't feel, just like you're out there floating and it becomes divisive for that family. So that's kind of our basis.
Yeah, I knew you guys were doing an amazing job.
I think that's just, the whole topic of what we do, we've been spending, we're very happy to have you part of our team and our company and the real estate world too. And what we really talk about is what puts a big ass smile on your face. That's kind of like an underlying theme of the company. And until you know what that is, there's really no fulfillment, right? Because you're just kind of running through the motions and trying to do what other people think you should do. And that's why we call this a happy agent, right? Is because it's not money necessarily. I mean, sure, let's be honest. Money does help. It gives you options. It gives you the connections and the ability to do stuff. But it's really what the stuff is that money helps you create. So you've worked your butt off for so many years, an amazing career, which you got great rewards for, and you deserve every bit of it. But what you've done with that is tremendous. You don't have to do the things that you're doing. You don't have to give back the way that you're giving, but you do. And I know in you just the heart's there because it makes you happy, right? The things that you see you talking about, that's when you light up.
No, you're exactly right, and that's what I try to always pour through any of my entities, right? Anything I'm a part of, I really want the team to understand that we are going to give back, right? We're going to be a very active member in our community, because there's nothing more rewarding than seeing, you improve the lives of other people. I hate to say that. I mean, there's nothing more rewarding, regardless of the financial side. Yeah, we do want to make money, we want to be successful, but I'm telling you, man, like, lighting up the face of a spouse or some kids, or an expecting mother, like those type of things, those are the roots of what, make me happy, that make me smile. So, that's what we're excited about. I'm excited to partner with you guys, creating our beacon group with the real estate. And it's just the beginning of it, right? It's the tip of the iceberg, right? There's so many things that we can do together, development-wise and growth in other places. I mean, we're active throughout the, United States, Ohio, Nevada, California, multiple places, Colorado. So I just couldn't be more excited to have the acumen that you guys are bringing to educate me, because I'm a lifetime learner, right? I couldn't be more humbled to be around you, Jeff, and be around Craig and be around Mike and the entire team. Like, it's just what you guys have shown me, in the last, 6 to 12 months we've been kind of dating, to get this finally rolling is very exciting for me, because one, it's just me. I'm just a nerd like that, right? I'm a deal guy. Like, I love development. I love teamwork. I love education. I love marketing. Like, that part of the business side of me is very, very, it's engaging. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
What do you like about the real estate? I mean, I couldn't even imagine. I know a bunch of the businesses you're in. You're in a ton of industries. You've got your hands in a bunch of different aspects, and you're very well in all of it. What is it about real estate and development and creation? What do you like about it?
Well, because it has a multitude of services that make me smile. It's one, I enjoy development. I love underwriting. I love putting a deal together. I love finding an asset, planning it out, getting some bids, you know what I mean? Like, putting it together. But I also understand that, guess what? If I can find 2-3 homes in a distinct location, guess what? I can improve a community. I can raise the valuation, and the appreciation for every homeowner in that community. So it helps me feel like I'm being philanthropic, but I'm also being business savvy.
That's a great way.
So take us back, because you have this great career, right? 12 seasons in the NFL, which finishes here in Tampa Bay. When did the entrepreneurial side really take off? Was it while you were still playing? Did you wait and kind of as you were fading out your career and decided to hang it up? Then you jumped in. When did the businesses and development and all that start to happen for you?
I started when I was actively playing. It was probably around my 3rd or 4th year in the league that I started, spending that time in the off seasons I mentioned earlier, where I wanted to go out to find successful professionals, right? People that are doing well not only in their own profession, but they're doing well investment wise, right? And I was like, what do you do with for passive income? Like, what are you investing in? Like, what are your passions? And I would literally take their business cards when I would be lucky enough, fortunate enough to go to some sort of, philanthropic event and get their business cards. I would follow up. I would call them and say, I would love some time at your office. If you can just let me be a fly on the wall, I want to be around and just absorb, because I believe in osmosis. I really do. I think if you're around the right people and you're around the right environments and things are, positively happening, guess what? You can pick some things up, right? So that's what I did. And so it was probably, I just started investing my time while I was actively playing. I wasn't the player that, wanted to be on the boats and doing all the fun stuff in the off season, like, those videos. Like, that wasn't my style. Like, I wanted to go continue my education. And one, I probably still had the cloud because I actually finished my degree here at USF in Tampa, because I was only in school 3.5 years. I didn't redshirt. So I left after my first semester, my senior year, to go start training for the combine and the Senior Bowl, things like that. So I had I don't know what it was, maybe 14 credits left that I needed to finish. And I can't even tell you what kind of cloud that hung over me. Like, being an educational centric guy who cares about my degree and was doing well in school, I could only do so much remotely. I started doing it in San Diego. I got a couple credits knocked out, and then when you get to those upper level management courses, they don't offer it remotely. I mean, it's just a smaller school, So I had to. They were like, "Oh, you come back to Greeley." I'm like, "I can't come back to Greeley. I'm trying to be a starting wide receiver in the NFL." You know what I mean? Like, so I had to spend my time training and working out with the team and stuff like that. So literally, it took me. There was a gap of I don't know, maybe 10 years before I got to Tampa, and I said, you know what? I'm getting this done. I'm getting it done. So when I had already had my businesses started, right? I had the CTV started, multiple restaurants, some other, medical, some other investments and things like that. I said, I don't need to do anymore. I don't need to add any more to my plate. What I want to do is go get this degree done. So I met up. I was blessed to find some amazing professors at USF that took me under their wing. They allowed me to work around, they work with my schedule. They understand that I was still playing. I mean, I was literally still playing with the Bucks, and I was going to school. This started in like 2014. It took me 2 years. I graduated in 2016. So it was one of the proudest moments of my life. I mean, to be able to do that as a professional. And finally, because when you talk to kids and you talk about education and the importance of education, for me to not have that done, it was such a contradicting burden. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be, I didn't want to sit here and say, hey, get your degree, go to school, and then I don't have mine. I'm like, oh man, I just feel like it was really weighing on me. So I finally had to go get it done, and it took some work. I mean, nobody treated me, there was no cakewalk, right? I mean, I didn't want it that way because I care about my education. I truly wanted to learn. So it wasn't like I was one of those athletes that just got pushed through school. Like, no, it didn't happen that way. I went to class. I got my education. I had to write my reports. I had to write, 20-page, essay. Like, I mean, all that. Like, I did it. I did the work. And I couldn't be more proud of that because, one, I can not only look at other kids that I talk to, but I can look at my own kids and say, this is the way you do it.
Yeah, you got to put in the work, right? And I think though that's where the youth sports, kind of circling back to what we were talking about earlier, I think that's the value youth sports plays into that world as well, right? So I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old who both play competitive baseball, and my whole thing with them is, listen, if you ever have the chance to play it at an extremely high level, that's awesome. But the reality is what you're really doing here is we're learning to compete. We're learning to work hard. We're learning discipline. I love baseball because it's a game of failure. So every single time they're playing, right, they're learning to fail. They're learning how to overcome and controlling effort, right? And that is, I will say, especially for my now 10-year-old, he just turned 10, that's the biggest thing that I've seen play out in school and everything else, because now he's carrying over a lot of those things. And so now it's about, what does sport give me for the rest of my life, not what does the rest of my life give me for sports, right? And I think for you, that's clearly played out because you are competitive. You like to win. You like to be successful, but you can tell that your commitment to being the best version of you has really played out on and off the field. So I just want all the audience to really take note of that. Like, this is someone that you're watching that's been ultra successful in everything that they've really tried to do. And that doesn't mean that he's never failed. Of course he has. No,
right? I've taken some L's. Don't worry.
We all do, right? But that ability to not really worry about the L's, right? To know that that's just part of the process. And there's no way that you accomplish what you've accomplished without a few L's. It's impossible, right? But for most people, they can't get over the L. They don't know how to deal with it. That first L comes, it's like Mike Tyson always, his famous quote of, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face, right? I mean, I love that quote. It literally is my favorite quote I think I've ever heard, because we all have this plan, and then someone punches you, and then it's like, what now, right? And so for you, that mental ability to get back to the degree and that commitment, right? So for all of you watching, it's just that commitment. Vincent was committed to what he wanted to accomplish. He wanted that degree. He wanted to finish his school. He wanted to start the businesses. He wanted to have an impact on his community. And he set his sights on it, and he was committed to it, not interested in it, committed to it. And it happened, right? And so that's the biggest difference, I think, for a lot of people that we deal with, especially in the real estate world. Agents are the main audience of this podcast. A lot of them are interested in accomplishing things. They're not committed to accomplishing things. Because if you weren't committed, you never would have gone back and got that degree.
No, of course. And I didn't have to, right? I didn't have to. That's the thing. It was a choice. It was a directed choice that meant something to me, and to what I wanted to stand behind and what I wanted behind my name. So, yeah, you're right. Agents, I mean, you're right. There's some that are just not committed to closing the deal. Sometimes they're just not going to get across the finish line because they're like, you know what? I don't want to put in the time. I want to go do this versus to go do my showing. Like, so see this all the time. You have to decide. You have to make a decision and stick with it. That's it. And it sounds easy, but it's not. It's really not. I mean, life happens for all of us, right? So I'm sensitive to that, you know what? I get it. We're going to come up with other things that can happen on our weekends and our Saturdays and our Sundays, and, oh, we can't make it over. Like, okay, it's going to happen, but what will you do? What will you do to get the deal done? That's the decision. And if you really want it done, if you really want to sell the property, if you really want to get a new buyer, you know what I mean? Like get the investment capital. If you really want to get that done, you'll get it done. I promise you can get it done. You just got to invest the time and work it around life, because life happens for all of us.
Absolutely.
What I was thinking is that from the level of commitment, Vincent, I bet you in Colorado, there were some days you were freezing your butt off when you had to get up to go training, right? And then there are also days when you're sweating your butt off when you take the extremes from wintertime practicing in Colorado to September in Tampa Bay with those are not fun days, but it's the commitment that's just part of the process. And from an agent perspective, any business development process, you got to go to work when it's cold. You got to go to work when it's hot. You got to go to work when it's fun. You got to go to work when it sucks, because you get committed to the end result, which is really just having fun on the journey, right? And I know you're enjoying this process. You love building something. Where we were fortunate to all hook up together is Vincent's got a group of real estate agents, and then understanding the value of a team, we saw some values of kind of joining forces. We've got people in different positions that we think can be beneficial, and he's got financing arms and mortgages arms. We've got a great real estate arms and training arms, and also it all brings together to bring different pieces to that puzzle, which creates the whole team. Because if you don't have a great line, right, and a good quarterback, your skills at wide receiver aren't really that effective.
Doesn't matter. Nobody can throw me the ball.
That's right. So that's what, from you watching as an agent perspective, you better make sure you've got a team, right? Who's there when you need the help? Who's there to have your back? Who's there to kick you up? Who's there to tell you to get up when it's cold? Who's there to help you get up when it's hot, right? That's what it takes.
You're absolutely right. And I really, I mean, that hits a lot of strokes, because what that relates to, I think, in our industry that we're talking about is when there's economic positivity and economic downfalls, right? When there's inventory shortages and there's inventory surpluses, right? And it's hard to find a property. So like, it's all relative. It really is. And I relate a lot of like my sports career to the military because of the fact that you're moving, right? You could be transient. It could be, you just don't know. I mean, every week and every month something can happen, right? Especially, in the generation that we are in, what we've lived through Desert Storm, and Iraq. Like, I mean, there's just multiple things that have happened that you just gotta be versatile enough. You gotta be willing to wake up every morning and live through the hot and the cold.
That's it.
I mean, look at what we've lived through the last 90 days. Right? No one expected this. Don't
get in that.
No, but I mean, no one expected it. And here's the thing, though. When you have surrounded yourself with a team of people that are aligned with your commitment, it will work, right? As a company, as a brokerage, we were committed to staying the course and being successful and still helping people with buying and selling their homes. So what did we do? Well, we never skipped a beat. We still trained every day. We were still showing up, right? We've been here every single day, just like we were before it all started, just like we'll be after it's all said and done, right? And so if you're an agent with someone who's along that same course and you truly are committed to doing that as well, well, now we're in it together, right? So that day where you don't want to get out of bed, you know that we are, and that's going to help you get out of bed because we're showing up, right? If you don't have that team around you, that business partner, those people that are committed to the same goals that you are, to the same level, it's not going to work long term. It really won't. So you have to dig deep down, and that's a tough conversation to have sometimes. But you've got to be willing then to make a change or realize that you're probably never going to hit your full potential because you don't have that person and you need it. People need support. You need that person. There are days where I don't want to do stuff and just like, dude, we got to hit. Okay, let's go then. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You need that. And we all need that. And so if you don't have that as an agent watching, you must get it, right? Vincent never could have been as successful as he's had. He doesn't have those 3 Pro Bowl seasons if he doesn't have coaches and teammates around him helping them accomplish that goal, right? So, and that carries through in every aspect of life. So I just want to make sure that the audience gets that.
And I was blessed, man. I had Hall of Fame coaches. Something I didn't mention was like I had my first coach my rookie year was James Lofton, Hall of Famer.
Yep.
After that, in San Diego, I had Charlie Joyner, Hall of Famer, right? I get to Tampa, and you guys, some people may or may not, sports fans, but I had, God bless it, what's his name? The coach for the Minnesota Gophers, PJ Fleck.
Oh, Fleck, yep.
Yeah, the dude that's like all over. I mean, this guy's created fire in the college arena. I mean, I was blessed to have good men in tutelage around me that pushed me each and every day, every single drill. And that's what it comes down to. So what you're saying, Mike, is very important because of the fact that it goes to the minutia of, are you willing to do the small work? Are you willing to put in that small time, that small callback, right? Taking a number, taking a name, and like getting back in touch and doing your showings, managing your property. Because every day, 15 minutes before practice even started, and excuse my language, hot ass Tampa Bay, like I had to go out there and do like tennis ball drills and like, these other small little just stance and starts, like just small things I worked on to make sure that I was going to have, I was going to set myself up for success. So you got to be committed. I mean, you just got to be committed at the end of the day. You have to understand that it takes, the details matter, and it takes that extra effort.
And focus. Because here's one last thing I want to do, because as we wrap this one up, is you didn't spend a lot of time kicking the ball, did you?
No, I did not.
Okay. And I think this is really important because from an agent perspective, we always say everything works. Now, if you had dedicated your career to kicking the ball, you might have been one of the best kickers out there, right? But you didn't. You found what you liked, and you honed that skill. From special teams evolved into wide receiver. But from an agent perspective, too many of them all over the board. They're doing FSBOs this week. They'll do expires this time. They'll try some door knocks. They'll try new construction. They'll try to find some tear down lots. They'll try to do some beach homes. They'll try to see if they want to build a condo. Right? You can't. Right? You can't and be good. Right? If you didn't stretch that one set of muscles and push those to that limit to be the best you could be in that lane, you wouldn't be sitting here with the levels of success that you had. So that's one of the things I know we push the agents nonstop is get something that you're committed to and practice. I mean, the number of drills that you went through, the number of routes that you ran are probably couldn't even count, right? But they happen for a reason because that's what you were committed to, but you didn't deviate.
Nope. You got to be committed. You got to pick a lane sometimes and stick with it. And yes, as an entrepreneur, can I say that, yeah, or he's doing the restaurant, but guess what? When I got involved in certain different industries, I was committed to them. Like I found the highest and best acumen. I really educated myself. I put time in. I didn't just, oh yeah, here's an investment. Like, some people think athletes are just, a pocketbook, a checkbook. We're just writing checks and just trying to get investment. No, I'm not like that. I was not that guy. I was like, you got to spend time with me. You got to educate me. I want to know the ins and outs of the business. I want to ins and outs of the plans, and I put time in for years before I would even give $1. So I had to find the people that were gonna do just that. Pick their lane, be very good at what they're doing, and that's why I'm involved in restaurants that have been open 10, 12 years. When restaurants average lifetime is 18 months, right? It's just because I went out, I spent the time to find the highest and best and people that were going to be the best operators, and I'm not doing a ton. I mean, the real estate, again, still learning. Again, I'm a lifetime student, still learning, getting better, finding the right network, but it takes a team. I found out that, I do better when I have the right resources. I can't do it all by myself, right? So you just got to be humble enough to say, spend your time getting around the right acumen. And when you pick that lane, like you're talking about, stick to it, stay in that lane, because you're right. You cannot do it all.
Right. And it'll drive you crazy trying. So
right.
Have some fun. Well, I'll tell you what, I can just say that we're thrilled to be able to call you friend and business partner. And you're a great person, a tremendous asset to this community, and we're thrilled to have you on our team. So,
hey, I couldn't be more humbled to be a part of the team. So thank you guys. Hope to do this again sometime. You know what I mean? Anytime you guys want to, chop it up, I'm game.
All right, we'll do it.
Absolutely.
All right. Vincent Jackson, thank you for your time, my friend.
Thanks, man. We really appreciate it.
Talk to you later. Thanks, guys.
See you later.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.